Welcome to Mr. B's bonsai garden. Today I'm working on 10 mostly unimpressive ficus cuttings, to see if we can guide them towards a better tomorrow. This first tree is off to a good start. It already has an interesting shape, which can't be said about some of the others. But we can make it better, by removing the unnecessary branches. This branch was an obvious choice for removal, since we don't want two branches coming from the same spot on the trunk. The same goes for this branch. Now, I'm just going to trim the ends before they get any lankier. I will revisit this tree in the spring or summer. How did I miss this nub? I'll have to get it next time. This cutting must have had great role models, because it seems very mature for its age. It's off to a great start. This is what happens when I run out of training pots. A plastic Halloween cup with a hole drilled into the bottom. How festive. Orange bat cup aside, this tree isn't so bad, though it's a little tall for my liking. I'm going to use this piece of wire to shorten its height, and hopefully, add a little pizzazz. If this little ficus cooperates, maybe it will earn a new container that is in style for longer than 1 month out of the year. I purposely leave the wire loose, because I don't want to leave any scarring, and I have found no downside to doing so. Fight me. I could have stopped here. Or, here. I wish I had stopped here. Or here. But I didn't. I instantly regret my decision to continue on with the bending. I said to myself,
"This looks good, but can I make it better?"
No, you should have stopped. I'm over it. At least it is more interesting than it was. I will sort out its branches in the spring. I'm just going to cut this tree down to size for now. Maybe then it will stop and ask itself what it wants to do with its life. At least it's taking up less space now. Wait a second, didn't I just do this tree? No, it's just a doppelganger. Let's do something different with this tree, so they no longer look as if they were twins separated at birth. I'm going to bend this trunk with wire, but I'm going to do it with zero risk of scarring the bark. I usually anchor the wire to the bottom of the container, but since the roots of this tree are still young, and not strongly footed in the soil, I'm going to need to anchor the wire to a lower part of the trunk, to avoid damaging the roots. Whenever I do this, I like to put something in between the wire and the trunk to prevent damage. This time I'm using some folded up tissue paper. I'm wrapping the wire around the nub from a past pruning. This nub will be removed in the future anyway, so I don't care if it leaves a mark. A little more. If I didn't counterbalance the wire back to the tree, it surely would have been plucked from the soil. I'm going to wire the upper branch down and forward. The lower portion will become part of the trunk, and the trunk will continue from the back of this branch in the future. Funky. I mean, I don't love it, but at least it looks more interesting than before. Sometimes they just need another year. This ficus cutting has fallen over. When this happens, I usually just straighten them out on their next repot, when they have more roots to support themselves. But sometimes I just leave them slanted, and start training them as they are. Just one cut for this tree, this time. I will revisit it in the spring. This next cutting is the largest of the bunch. I'm going to start by removing the growth that is pointing straight upward. For now, I'm just going to prune the branches to keep the shape it already has. This tree is not off to a bad start, especially considering it hasn't even had its own roots for a full year. This ficus cutting is too tall, too skinny, too one-dimensional, and too plain. That didn't help at all. I will need to prune it aggressively in the spring. This cutting is lacking character. I'm going to attempt to use the trunk as its first branch and its first branch as its trunk. Voila! The magic doesn't happen overnight, folks. This tree will need more time. Here's another cutting planted in a plastic cup. Drainage holes drilled into the bottom of the container. 1. Points given for style. 0. The final tree for today has experienced some dieback. I'm just going to remove the dead portions. Before too long, the tree's bark will grow over these cuts, and we will be able to forget it ever happened. Well, it's been a blast. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again next time.